As it works to strengthen its air defenses, Israel is not just waging a war against Iran and its proxies, it's also waging a war with the United Nations. You heard that right. Netanyahu's Israel is currently at loggerheads with the United Nations in brazen defiance of appeals from countries worldwide. And as a result of this brazenness, it's the ordinary Palestinians who are suffering. Let me tell you how. On Monday, Israel passed a law banning the UN Palestinian Refugee Agency, UNRWA, from operating in the country, a legislation that will basically impact the UN aid agency's work in war-torn Gaza. The lawmakers who drafted the law claim that some UNRWA staffers were involved in the October 7, 2023 attack on southern Israel. They say that some UNRWA staffers had membership in Hamas and other armed groups. The ban does not refer to operations in the Palestinian territories or elsewhere, but the Israeli parliament has passed an addendum to the new law, saying that Israeli authorities can no longer have contact with the UNRWA, leaving room for exceptions in the future. And after the vote, the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said, and I'm quoting, UNRWA workers involved in terrorist activities against Israel must be held accountable, since avoiding a humanitarian crisis is also essential. Sustained humanitarian aid must remain available in Gaza now and in the future, quote unquote. Now, Israel's ban on UNRWA has alarmed the world, United Nations, and some of Israel's Western allies. Israel's decision could also worsen the already dire humanitarian situation in Gaza, where Israel has been fighting Hamas for over a year now. The head of the UNRWA, Philippe Lazzarini, has called the vote a dangerous precedent that opposes the UN Charter and violates Israel's obligation under international law. On social media platform X, he tweeted, I'm quoting now, "This is the latest in the ongoing campaign to discredit UNRWA and delegitimize its role towards providing human development assistance and services to Palestine refugees," quote unquote. UNRWA, the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestine refugees, employs tens of thousands of workers and provides education, health, aid to millions of Palestinians in Gaza, the West Bank, Jordan, Lebanon, Syria. It has long had tense relations with Israel, but ties have especially worsened since the start of the war in Gaza. In fact, Israel has called repeatedly for the UNRWA to be disbanded, with its responsibilities transferred to other UN agencies. As far as Israel's big charge on the UNRWA staffers is concerned, in August, the UN has said that 9 UNRWA staff may have been involved in the October 7 assault. The UN had reportedly fired them. A Hamas commander in Lebanon who was killed last month in an Israeli strike was found to have had a UNRWA job. Another commander killed in Gaza last week doubled as a UN aid worker. UNRWA had confirmed both men had been employees. Still, when the two bills passed in the parliament are implemented, will block the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees from providing life-saving support in Gaza and West Bank for the 1.7 million displaced people of Gaza, many already living in UNRWA refugee camps. The potential loss of the only agency that exists to help them stands to hit them very hard. It is the latest in a series of confrontations between Israel and the UN. You see, in addition to its problems with the UNRWA, Israel has also attacked UN peacekeeping presence in Lebanon, UNIFIL, whose international troops in Lebanon have come under Israeli fire, including the potential deployment of white phosphorus. And there's more. On Tuesday, the office of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu denied on its X account the historical fact of the UN's role in Israel's establishment, claiming that Israel was founded solely through victory in the War of Independence. This is what Israel calls the conflict of 1948. Interestingly, the English language account did not carry a similar post. And there's more. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has also been barred from entering Israel over what the Netanyahu government says is his failure to fully condemn a missile strike by Iran on Israel in October. By voting to ban the UN agency, the Israeli government is basically steering the country towards a deeply troubling status. Without United Nations, there will be no one to hold Israel accountable. These agencies protect civilians and alleviate emergency conditions. After all, they are the pillars, in a way, of the international legal and governance system, even if they are imperfect. That's a different debate. So far, the US has shielded Israel from the consequences of its actions. And the US could also end the war today if it were to stop arming Israel and forcing a ceasefire, basically. But as the situation stands right now, it looks like a ceasefire will not come before the presidential election in the United States. And that's the tragedy of the Gaza war. To stay up to speed with the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.